Massive hailstones fall across Texas. Some are as big as baseballs.
My flower bed and here the lawn, everything was filled with ice.
The NFL draft is tonight. For tens of thousands of fans, the forecast is critical.
I am expecting temperatures in the mid-50s.
Some people believe tornadoes cannot happen in the mountains, but that's just not true.
The chance for a tornado to develop is largely based on weather components.
And we're tracking hummingbirds as they continue to return to the United States.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. The massive wildfire in New Jersey not only is still burning this morning, but it's expected to grow even bigger before it is contained. The fire in southern New Jersey has consumed more than 20 square miles. It's now 50% contained. Officials expect rain tomorrow night, and Saturday will help contain it even more. As of now, there are no known injuries. A single commercial building and some cars have been destroyed. It is believed to be New Jersey's second worst fire in the last 2 decades. The cause of this fire is still under investigation. All the smoke from the wildfire will impact air quality in the New York area. New York City, upstate New York, and Long Island will all have unhealthy air today. Upper level winds could also blow some of that smoke as far south as D.C. It won't be low enough to affect air quality, but it could lead to actually some hazy skies. Wildfires in Nebraska led the governor to issue a burn ban for all 93 counties in that state. This fire in northern Nebraska has already burned at least 24,000 acres. Aerial support teams, including Black Hawk helicopters, are helping battle the flames. Nebraska really desperately needs some rain at this point. About a third of the state is under severe drought conditions, with the rest in a moderate or extreme drought. Severe weather slammed Texas again last night, bringing rain and some very large hail. These images comes from the Panhandle, where the hail the size of golf balls, you can see it here, and even the size of baseballs in some cases. This one appears to be close to 7 inches in diameter, the largest ever found in Texas at 7¼ inches. The storm came one day after so much hail fell north of Austin. It looked like snow on the ground. Vinny Martaro has this story.
I was very cautious before I walked out of my house and to see, okay, if I may slip and fall.
Manju Narayanapa was finishing dinner with his family and winding down his night when a hailstorm came rolling through.
It was pouring like a water for more than 15 to 20 minutes.
The storm ripped through south and southeast Georgetown and East Round Rock. Narayanapa lives in the Saddle Creek neighborhood, one of the hardest hit in Georgetown. This is what he saw looking out his window Tuesday night.
My flower bed and here the lawn, everything was filled with ice, and so much falling on the car.
The hail also smashed one of his home's windows and damaged his cars. He's not the only one dealing with this type of damage.
Early estimates are about 40 to 50,000 homes have been hit.
Michael Pickle is the president of Texas Traditions Roofing. He says people saw anywhere from 3/4 to 2.5-inch hailstones.
Cars have a lot of dents and dings in them, so we're seeing some broken windows on the sides of homes. Some siding is getting damaged, significant hail impacts all over the roofs.
With more rain expected, Pickle's biggest concerns are leaks inside homes.
Get somebody out to take a look at the roof. Make sure that you actually have impacts that's worth calling your insurance company. Have your insurance company come out and then inspect and determine whether or not they're going to claim the roof. And then from there, select a roofing contractor and get your roof installed.
And for the third consecutive day, that region is under threat for severe storms. The highest risk once again stretches from West Texas north into Kansas and eastern Colorado. Isolated severe thunderstorms could produce large hail and strong wind gusts as well. Well, tonight's the big night. The 3-day NFL draft kicks off tonight in Green Bay, Wisconsin. This is a shot right here. You got at Lambeau Field. That's the draft stage. It's where the Tennessee Titans will make the first pick shortly after 8 o'clock Eastern time. So will the weather cooperate for the tens of thousands of fans flocking to the draft? Green Bay meteorologist Patrick Powell has the forecast.
Your forecast for the NFL draft that kicks off in Green Bay on Thursday evening. I am expecting temperatures in the mid-50s, mostly cloudy skies, just a slight chance for a shower, especially as we head towards the later picks heading towards midnight. Temperatures drop off to about 50 for rounds 2 and 3 on Friday evening. First pick temperature right around 53 at 6 o'clock in the evening, falling back into the mid-40s. The best day looks like Saturday. Sunshine, seasonal, light northeast winds, and a high of 60.
As you saw earlier in New Jersey, the majority of wildfires in the Northeast happen this time of year when most tree and ground vegetation is dry. In other parts of the country, the fire season runs during the summer months. Fire prevention is key here, no matter when wildfires are most active and no matter where you live. Meteorologist Ryan Munn has more from Maine.
As the snow melts and the top layer of ground dries out, things like sticks, leaves, and grass are just some of the things that can quickly cause a fire.
The thing that concerns us most are the fine fuels. When we talk about leaf litter, that can really have an impact on fire spread this time of year. The leaves are dead.
Red flag warnings are also more common this time of year. The state law prevents people from burning on those days.
There's a significant chance of increased fire occurrence and fire spread on those days. Traditionally speaking, there's higher winds, lower RHs, higher temperatures.
These warnings were put in place to protect the state and communities and help control wildfires. The Maine Forest Service also has helicopters to fight fires when needed.
We can get anywhere in the state in less than an hour, so it's very easy to get to a fire, sometimes before the ground resources do, and then start dropping water on the fire to slow its spread and cool it down a little bit to help.
A burn permit is free in Maine and required if you plan to do any open burning.
Maine is the most heavily forested state in the nation. We rely on our forest immensely. So having that ability to get the fire permit is a foundation for fire prevention.
And one of our goals here at the National Weather Desk is to help you better understand the weather and how it impacts you. Meteorologist Noah Hawk explains an outflow boundary.
Here in Georgia, we've been experiencing a summer-like pattern over the last couple of days, and it's been bringing more isolated and scattered pop-up storms and showers. But another way that these isolated storms tend to pop up are along something called an outflow boundary. Now, these are going to form from a pre-existing storm that's going to have a very strong downdraft, and these downdrafts are going to be formed from very heavy rain. Now, this rain is going to help pull the air from the upper atmosphere down towards the ground and give it that cooler air. Once it hits the surface, it's going to fan out away from the ground and create something called an outflow boundary. Now, this boundary is going to act like a mini cold front and become its own forcing mechanism for air out in front of that boundary. It's going to help give the next storm an initiating boost up into the atmosphere and allow it to start to form those clouds and initiate those showers and storms. And typically, the stronger your downdraft is, the stronger the outflow boundary.
Spring is thought of as severe weather season. And did you know that thunderstorms patterns actually change in the summer? Meteorologist Katie Morgan explains what that means in a recent Facebook post.
Severe weather season may not be over just yet. Will it ever end? Well, as we head into the summer months, we tend to see a shift in our type of thunderstorms. They become more summer-like. But what does that mean? Summer storms are driven by heat and moisture, a lot of moisture in the air. That tends to make them more frequent and more intense, which could lead to flash flooding concerns. Heavy rain, small hail, and wind are all the main threats. So while a lot of the country tends to see an uptick in severe weather in those spring and fall transition months, we do tend to see a smaller chance of tornadoes in the summer months, but not a zero chance. Just keep that in mind. Our focus just tends to be more on the slow-moving, heavy rain producers, along with wind and hail.
Scientists say the world's coral reefs are in trouble. The International Coral Reef Initiative says a record 84% of the ocean's reefs are being hit by the most intense bleaching event in history. Experts say there's no sign of when the current bleaching crisis will end, thanks to climate change. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, recently national forest land in California was open to logging. We'll find out why some think that could make wildfires even more likely. And hummingbirds are migrating back north. We'll show you when you can expect to see them, maybe in your area.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We're starting in a cool note this morning in the Northeast. Most areas are in the 40s. A nice warm-up is in store. A large portion of New England will stay in the 50s and 60s. However, there will be some spots like in New York and New Jersey that warm into the 70s to possibly near 80 degrees. Now, a quick round of showers moves through New England during the nighttime hours. That's 8 p.m. tonight. It's gone by Friday morning. Friday looks to be another very nice looking day with temps in the 60s, 70s, and even near 80. Some rain arrives Saturday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Your Thursday's shaping up to be a great day once again. Tons of sunshine everywhere. We'll be watching as a weather maker approaches from the west, and this is going to bring clouds and possibly a couple showers in the afternoon on Friday, mainly across the mountains and to the south, but better chances of rain coming into Saturday. So Thursday, still some high temperatures in the mid to upper 70s, and still on Friday, very warm, upper 70s to low 70s.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. High pressure remains in control off the eastern seaboard. That's going to leave an east wind flow in place for much of the state of Florida, leaving dry conditions around. Showers and thunderstorms could develop, though, for the rest of the region, extending as far west as the Mississippi River Valley heading into Friday. A warm one, though, across the southeast, 70s for the Carolinas, in the upper 80s for parts of Florida, near 90 degrees even along the west coast.
Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Different types of birds visit the Great Salt Lake this time of year, stopping by during migration. These avian beauties were spotted during the weekend in the lake, but also on the ground. Land-dwelling creatures on Antelope Island, ones that inspired the island's name in the 1800s. A side note, several islands are in the Great Salt Lake, but the actual number depends on the water level.
Listen to Off the Radar, new episodes every Tuesday.
National forest land in California has recently opened to logging, sparking significant debate in that state. The order aims to increase domestic timber production and decrease fire risks, but many are worrying at this point it could prevent some of the natural life cycles in the forest. Sophia Brunsma has more.
Just a few miles west of Redding is Whiskeytown National Park, drawing in hundreds of thousands of visitors per year. Within the park, you can find beautiful landscapes and a remarkable lake. But with it comes dead trees and brush, left untouched after the devastating car fire almost 7 years ago. Nadine Bailey, a former logging business owner in Hayfork, is now working for Family Water Alliance, a nonprofit specializing in rural agricultural needs. Bailey believes much of the land in Northern California is a hazard.
Going into our forests and removing some of the dead and down trees and making something that we can reintroduce fire to. Especially in California, fire was a big part of the environment here. These areas burnt on the average of every 4 years, and we've suppressed fire for 100, and so that's caused some problems.
David Ledger, president of the Shasta Environmental Alliance and the conservation chair at the Shasta chapter of California Native Plant Society, advocates for forest health. He says wildfires are natural to the region and should be treated as such.
When you get close to towns and cities and homes, you do need wildfire management. But when you get out in the forest, fire is a natural feature of the forest. For millions of years, the forests have burned in North America, actually throughout the world. Unfortunately now, because of climate change, the increasing heat and drought and winds, when you get conditions like those, then you can have catastrophic fires.
Bailey says fire mitigation efforts are underway at the local level in some areas.
The dead wood needs to be removed so that we can get back to doing some traditional burning in the fall.
You might have heard that tornadoes cannot develop in mountainous areas, but that's a misconception. Meteorologist Kit Alexander tells how terrain affects tornado formation.
You've probably heard some folks say that tornadoes can't occur in the mountains, but let's talk about this misconception and why this is not the case. There are numerous factors that influence tornado genesis. First, dealing with the terrain. And the terrain absolutely does influence tornadoes and impact them. In fact, there have been numerous studies done on how terrain impacts tornadoes. Number one, terrain causes the vortex to change direction, speed, and size as it moves over hills and valleys. Another thing it points to is the strongest horizontal winds occur between the hills, while upward motions are more intense during ascent. And overall, the study just highlights how complex terrain can be and how it significantly impacts tornadoes. The terrain also impacts the weather conditions in many locations, especially in the mountain areas. Unsaturated air drops approximately 5.5 degrees Fahrenheit for every 1,000 feet in altitude. So the higher in elevation generally correlates with the cooler temperatures and lower moisture levels. Winds are also impacted. But ultimately, it's not just the terrain that affects the chance of a tornado in the mountains. It's also the weather conditions. The chance for a tornado to develop is largely based on weather components that affect supercell storm development. One of the easiest ways to remember the ingredients needed for severe storms is the acronym SLIM, which just stands for shear, lift, instability, and moisture. Once all the ingredients are in place for severe storms, there's a better chance for tornado genesis.
Earth has 5 different atmospheric rivers, and that might have you wondering just how big is our atmosphere. Meteorologist Nick Maruska breaks it down.
We as meteorologists often refer to the atmosphere when describing weather. Well, technically speaking, we're only referring to the first layer of Earth's atmosphere, the troposphere. This is the layer where most, if not all, of the weather occurs and where most, if not all, the water vapor is. But there's 4 other layers. The stratosphere is the ozone layer. Some of the passenger planes do hit cruising altitude in the stratosphere. Layer number 3 is the mesosphere, the coldest of the spheres. It's also where the meteors go to burn up. The thermosphere, this is the 4th layer. This is the layer where it can get up to 2,000 degrees Celsius. That's above freezing. It's also where the ISS is. The last layer before you hit space is the exosphere. Now, as for the troposphere, it's relatively shallow. In fact, it's only about 7 miles from the surface to the end of the troposphere, or roughly the distance between Dayton, the city itself, and the airport. To get out of the stratosphere, you only need 22 more miles, or around the distance between Dallas and Fort Worth. The mesosphere isn't that much longer. In fact, it would take you the distance between Orlando and Daytona. On the other hand, I hope you packed a bag lunch for the thermosphere. It is 500 miles, or roughly the distance between Jacksonville and also New Orleans. Now, as for the exosphere, there's really no end to it. That's it. That's the 5 layers of the Earth's atmosphere.
A company in Washington state is developing a new type of spacecraft, one they say is easier to maneuver, faster, and more capable of anything currently flying in the cosmos. Holly Menino sat down with the company's founder to learn more about it.
Jeff Thornburg saw an opportunity to develop a new type of spacecraft, one he says is more maneuverable, more capable, more rapid.
Our supernova spacecraft is now providing the ability to move quickly to other orbital destinations in ways that just aren't possible.
The vision started taking shape 3.5 years ago. He and his co-founders got to work in his Bothell area garage, creating a spacecraft that moves quickly around orbits between the Earth and the Moon. They call it supernova.
So we're taking that nuclear energy from the sun, in our case, and we're concentrating that energy to heat up our proprietary engine system. And that means we don't have to carry oxygen on orbit, which means we can carry twice as much fuel.
Thornburg's 30 years in the aerospace industry brought him to this moment. He worked at NASA, SpaceX, Amazon Kuiper, and with Paul Allen, which led him to start his own company. The Supernova is a space transport vehicle that will carry all sorts of things, from cameras to telescopes, even robotic arms, for various agencies and companies.
But I think where Supernova really shines is it's been designed to be an on-orbit asset, meaning we're up there on orbit waiting for a mission. Or we're performing other missions and then could be tasked to do something completely different because we have more maneuverability, a longer life, and a rapid capability to move that our customers really want for the future.
They have their sights set on a 2026 launch date.
And as we go to break, views of the Bitterroot River in western Montana.
Well, a very good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Some scattered showers and thunderstorms across the plains for the day today. Popping up in the afternoon, more of a summer-like pattern for us today. And temperature is going to be fairly warm for most of us. A little cooler to the north with some 50s. This continues to kind of develop as we go into your Friday, and it continues to move its way to the east as we head into the weekend with more sun coming out across the plains.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. You're waking up to another warm and humid morning. Deep South Texas, a little bit better, but cloudy skies all the way back on up into Oklahoma. We'll be keeping an eye on some scattered showers that move across the region. The triggering mechanism will be a dry line far out toward the west. Otherwise, temperatures are going to be warming up to early summer-like levels across the region. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Stella Sun. We're going to continue to see some dry weather across the west coast. Meanwhile, a storm system will continue to push its way through Rocky Mountains as well as the central plains, and that's going to kick up some severe storms across that region. Daytime highs will be warm in Portland. We're talking in the upper 70s. Also warm in Seattle, low 70s there through Spokane as well. Middle 60s in LA and San Diego, 90 degrees in Phoenix. That's the scene from here.
The National Weather Desk.
Hummingbirds are migrating back north for the spring and summer. Some have already been spotted in the Northeast. Meteorologist Emily Santom posted about their migration on TikTok. Take a look.
Hummingbirds are slowly returning, and a few of them are already being spotted in southern New England. A couple of them right here in New Hampshire and Maine. Experts at the Maine Audubon did say that you may see a couple of them flying through during April, but the majority of the hummingbird population won't return until May. Based on this information from HummingbirdsCentral.com, hummingbirds are all over in the eastern U.S. Most hummingbirds spend the winter months down in Central America. Once February rolls around, hummingbirds begin to migrate back to the U.S., specifically in the southern portion. Did you know that hummingbirds can travel over 20 miles a day? They can cover up to 500 miles when they cross the Gulf during migration, and their average speed is between 20 to 30 miles per hour. A hummingbird's heart can beat up to 1,260 beats per minute. Male hummingbirds are the first to come back during the spring, and their wings can flap between 15 to 80 times per second.
We love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.